Hey guys, welcome back to another weekly developer update. So for this week, I've got some things to show that I've done in Unity, and I'm just gonna run through what I've done over the past week, as per usual. So here I'll run the game. The first thing I did this week was something that needed to be done since the first developer diary. Was I finally fixed the animation on the player. So as you can see, it's animating correctly. You can jump left and right. It doesn't do any sort of like running on the spot. Whenever he runs the right direction, and it all looks pretty good. So the only other animation I need to hook up is the attacking animations, which I still want to make some changes to them. But as you can see, the animation is looking pretty good. And then if he falls for a long period, he like doesn't repeat the loop. He just does like a falling animation. So he does a flip and then he just starts falling. And it's looking pretty good. The next thing I can show you is, well, as you can see, I've got this animated little dragon head enemy that's patrolling around. I want to change how this works, but for now I've just got it for testing purposes. That I got the player attack working again. So basically what happens, obviously I've not animated it yet, but if I go up to this enemy and press space twice, as you can see, it's just killed the enemy. So the enemy is now dead. Obviously there'll be a animation, and there still has to be quite a few changes to it, but the basic system of pressing the space button to do an attack in front that lowers their health is working. So, also another thing I've done is I've made quite a few improvements to the actual player, like movement wise. So here I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you a bit of the code. But the first thing I did was I added something which I think it's called Coyote Time, that some game developers call it, which is basically I added some quality of life features that a lot of platformers in general do that you might not really think of. So for example, the first thing I added was if you run off a ledge and press jump, originally if you were just off the ledge and press jump, you'd just fall off and it'd feel really bad. So what I've got now is if you run off the ledge and you jump, as you can see, but you might not be able to tell here, as you can see, I've just ran off the ledge and I can still jump, and that's a thing quite a lot of platformers do, because it just makes the game feel more responsive and makes the jump timing more forgiving. Because otherwise, it just feels really bad for the player if you're running to do a jump, you go to jump, and instead of a jump coming out, you just end up falling and nothing happens. Second thing I did, which works quite similar to that, is I added a jump buffer. So what used to happen before was if you were spamming jump, if I pressed jump right about here, just before touching the ground, like that, nothing would happen. So I press jump now, I wouldn't be able to jump that fast because I'd have to time my jump to be perfectly when I touch the ground. Whereas now, if I press jump when I'm about here, as you can see, it's jumping and it just feels a lot more fluid and just feels a lot better for the player. So those are the two little quality of life features I've added to the player movement, which just make it feel a lot more, just a lot better in general. Another thing I've been doing quite a lot of tweaking with is the player jump. So something you might have noticed then is if I quickly tap the jump button, as you can see, I do a short hop. If I hold it, as you can see, I do a much taller jump. So the way I've got it working is I've made it so the jump height depends upon how long the player holds the jump button. So I can do a fastest jump possible, which is a very short hop. And I made sure to make the smallest jump be big enough to go up one tile. So I think that feels quite good. So I can just do a quick jump. As you can see, a short hop isn't far enough to get across here. But if I hold it for a little bit more, as you can see, I can make it. So, as you can see, you can do all sorts of different jump heights, and it just gives the player a lot more control over their movement. So, as you can see, this past week I did quite a lot just improving the player. So I've got the movement in a way I'm happy with. Especially, I've got the jump in a way I'm happy with. So as you can see, the jump feels a little floaty, but that's kind of what I want in a way. Like it feels like you stay at the peak of the jump for a little bit, somewhat similar to like the original Mario and that. And I think it feels quite good. See, just jumping just off the ledge. And I can still make quite like value changes. Like if the jumping off a ledge is too forgiving, like there, as you can see the player sort of dip down as they fall off. I think I made, if I remember correctly, the jump. I can easily change any of the values in it. So yeah, the jump buffer is you have a 0.1 second. So when you jump, you have 0.1 seconds before you land to input jump in order to buffer a jump. And then when you jump off a ledge, you have a 0.2 second window to input a jump. So other than that, I've been doing bits of pixel art, like just making various tweaks, and I made sure to export this pixel art in a way where it's kind of hard to explain. It basically made it so the player, when he was animating, wasn't sort of like jittering around, like the sprite wasn't like in a different position each time, by making sure when I exported the sprites, they were like equally divided into like the individual sections, as you can see. So I've just been doing little like tweaks to the player sprite, and I've got some other stuff that I'm just working on. Like I'm working on making like a newer, like a better ghost sprite that looks more ghostly, I guess, rather than this ghost sprite was just like it's just like a work in progress one that is just there for now. So I think that's everything for this week. Actually, I can go through a little bit of the code on how the jumping works. So as you can see, I've got a. If I can, yeah, it's here. As you can see, I've basically got it so this here will manage the hang time, which is the time of when you run off a ledge. Basically, I've got two countdowns, and then instead of in the if statement saying if the player has pressed the so instead of saying if the player has pressed the jump button, it goes has the player pressed the jump button has the player pressed the jump button within the jump buffer amount, rather than if they've pressed it when the jump key is pressed. So I've just been making quite a few changes to the player. And as for next week, since I've done a little bit of coding stuff this week, I want to try and make the tile set look a lot better, because right now it's very basic. It's just dirt and grass and little rocky bits. So I want to try and make it look a lot better. So I've already started working on, I'm going to try and make some sort of like trees that can be part of like the level in the background, maybe some like bushes and rocks just to be in the background. So that's what I think I'm going to want to work on for next week. So I think that is everything. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll keep working at this, and I'll see you all next week. Alright, peace.